Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. This is JB.
And I'm Chandler, and this is the Unbiased Hard Take.
And on today's Unbiased Hard Take, as always, me and JB are going to wrap up Thanksgiving week, week 12 in the NFL. JB, what's one topic or one team that you want to talk about from Thanksgiving week 12?
Oh, for me, it's going to be the Chicago and Minnesota game. For once, we all know I've hyped up Joshua Dobbs for this whole entire season. But sadly, that has came to an end against Chicago. He threw 4 interceptions and only 1 touchdown. But I think through that whole entire game, both teams sucked. And yes, congratulations to Justin Fields for making a game-winning drive for once in his life and once in his whole entire career. Good job, Justin Fields. You would never do that ever again in your entire life as a quarterback. You might as well do it as a running back, as for this, for crying out loud. But it was just a field goal game. The Bears never seen the end zone at all. Even though Justin Fields went through for 217 yards, he rushed for 59, and DJ Moore once again finally showed up twice in his season as a Chicago Bear. He only had 114 yards, and I do believe he was the one that caught that game-winning catch to be in the field goal range. So, if anything, good job, Justin Fields. You actually brought your team to a victory, but you never seen an end zone. But good job on that game-winning drive. But yeah, I feel so sorry for Joshua Dobbs. 4 picks, which saddens me. So, but yeah, that's my take on it.
I'm not willing to say that Josh Dobbs, it's over.
I'm not saying it's over. I'm not saying it's over. I'm saying that this is the first time that he had a bad game. And yes, it was a horrible game. It was horrible for him. But at least they seen the end zone and not had all field goals. I mean,
I don't like what Kevin O'Connell, their head coach, said, that they're going to, quote, evaluate everything when asked about a quarterback change. Listen, man, this guy's only been there a few weeks. He's already led you on a game-winning drive. Kirk Cousins is out for the season. You want to put someone other than Josh Dobbs in there? As a Packers fan, go on ahead. Go on ahead and see how that goes for you, because this is his first bad game of the year. Give him a break. Throwing your quarterback under the bus like that. I played quarterback. You want to kill a quarterback's confidence. You want to make a quarterback not want to play for you. That's how you do it. Low ball move. I don't like that. However, thank you to the Bears, because that helps Green Bay's playoff position. So sometimes the enemy of your enemy is your friend. And in this case, thank you, Chicago. I'll end on that.
Cool. But yeah, it is sad to see that even the head coach even said that. I mean, who does he want? Deshaun Watson? I mean,
who do they have as better? That's the question right now. Yes, if Kirk Cousins was healthy, obviously he'd be the starter. But he's not. Nope. There's no one else.
Nope. I mean, if we really want to look at the roster, excuse me. Let's see. Let me see who they're.
There's not an experienced quarterback on the roster beyond Josh Dobbs.
Nick Mullins.
Sure, play him. Go play him. Go play Nick Mullins. See how that works out for you.
Jaron Hall. Who is Nick Mullins? Never heard of him in my entire life.
He's been a backup previously, but
this is his 5th season. This is his 5th season.
He's been a career backup.
But yeah, I say keep Josh Dobbs, the astronaut, in there.
Hey, there's no, yeah, absolutely. That was bull crap. You tell the media that stuff, nah, I ain't got nothing for you. And no wonder the Vikings don't have a single Super Bowl because of crap like that.
Nope.
Speaking of disappointing franchises, the Chargers are getting a lot of hate right now, but I'm going to kind of lay off of them. And I'm going to give another team a little bit of hate that deserves it, and that is the New Orleans Saints, because that division is garbage. Every single person, I think, who has a football IQ probably predicted that the Saints win the division.
You.
I did. You did.
Yeah, we
We
did.
both did.
We both did.
And that's because Derek Carr is easily the best quarterback in the division. Or so I mean, at least we thought. I have some numbers here right now. So people think he's a top 10 quarterback. Some people do. Borderline. But you look, right now, he has 10 total touchdowns for the season and 5 total turnovers. His quarterback rating is 88.5, and total yardage running and passing, 2,575. Last game against the Falcons, which we talked about it being a big game, it's for control of the division. So that's where you want your elite quarterbacks, which the Saints has paid him elite money, to go out there and deliver. Well,
Mm-hmm.
instead of delivering, he went out there and didn't score a single touchdown. And not only did he throw an interception, but the interception he threw was a pick six that lost them the lead early in the game and lost them momentum.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what franchise quarterbacks do. Derek Carr did this last year. They underachieved with the best receiver in football, in my opinion, and Devontae Adams, the NFL leading
Right.
rusher, and Josh Jacobs, and they have Max Crosby on defense, and he still missed the playoffs. I'm tired of the excuses for the Saints. I'm tired of the excuses for Derek Carr. Cool stats. His stats are always slightly above average. But you have Chris Olave right now, who's on pace for an 1,000-yard season, had an 1,000-yard season last year, and Alvin Kamara, who, even with his suspension, has 457 rushing yards, 355 receiving yards, and 3 total touchdowns. And you have Taysom Hill, who's a decent tight end. And you still aren't getting it done in the worst division in football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of it. He's not a top 10 quarterback. The Saints need a new head coach. Allen's not he's not the guy. It's proven. I mean, he's a defensive coach and they're 12th in defense in the league. They're also 12th in offense. So they're kind of just I'm tired of it. They have the quarterback. There's no excuse now. Tired of the Saints. Tired of their crap. No. Derek Carr, not a top 10 quarterback. I'd say they need a head coach change.
I agree. Because once again, I think they are also the other team that never seen the end zone. All they had was field goals. Even though Derek Carr went for 24 and 38, 304 yards, and 1 interception, and Kamara
Which is a
only
pick
had,
six.
which was a pick six. So at least they seen the ball go into the end zone, but for the other team.
Yes, that's
Um, so I mean, if anything, the Saints and the Bears about had the exact same numbers. So for Derek Carr had more passing yards and he threw a pick. That's basically it. Because if we looked at it, Justin Fields had almost the exact same rushing yards as Alvin Kamara. DJ Moore about had the almost the exact same yards as Olave, but DJ Moore had more receptions and Chris Olave only had 7. I think he had like 11 catches, if I'm thinking it correctly. But yeah,
it's
I mean
yeah. It's
for this team, for how I want to say stacked, but for this division, the New Orleans Saints is a stacked team
yes.
because you had Derek Carr. Is everyone's saying this. He's still a top 10 in the league. I mean, if we looked at all the quarterbacks right now, and I think he dropped down to top 15 in my opinion.
I mean, I would
Since
take Jordan
he's,
Love over him.
I mean, at this point, yeah. I mean, right now I would take Stroud over him, and he's a rookie,
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely. Absolutely would.
But I mean, we don't know how this is his second year is going to look like. Hopefully, it's going to be the exact same as his rookie year. I hope so because I mean he's a real good football player. I mean, he's doing the unthinkable right now. But
Yeah.
in this division right now, they should be winning.
Easily.
They should not be 5-6. Right
No,
now,
no, no, they should
they are
not.
tied for first in the division with against Atlanta. And it's sickening. Because you got Tampa Bay right behind them. And honestly, I do
Yep.
believe Tampa Bay shouldn't be 4-7 either.
I do. I think that's about right for me.
I I
I think
I would
yeah.
say I would switch Atlanta and Tampa Bay. I do believe Tampa Bay is a little bit more better than what Atlanta is. Um but Tampa Bay always comes short with when it comes to their games. Right now,
Yes, they do.
last week they lost to a backup quarterback by only by 7 points. Even though Baker Mayfield is putting up still amazing numbers. He went 20 for 30, 199 yards, shy for 200, but he threw 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. And yet they still lost because Gardner Minshew went 24 for 41, 251 yards, and 1 interception. And but I do believe that um, Jonathan Taylor, he's the one that the reason why that they made it or won the game because he only had 2 touchdowns.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely the Colts running because you look they got the
Oh, my
best.
fault. My fault. Gardner Minshew did run one in, so he did
I was getting
one
ready to say
touchdown.
that. Yeah.
Because I'm only seeing like their passing and all their stuff. I didn't see the full box score, so that is my fault. But yes, he did run one in. So,
Mm-hmm.
but with all that being said, Baker Mayfield is still putting up amazing numbers.
He is. He's putting up good numbers. The issue is it's not translating
It's
to wins.
it is it's not, and that's sad. And that's really sad because San Francisco, only 27-14. Um, I mean he they demolished Tennessee. They lost against Houston by 2 and 24-18 against Buffalo. That's their top 5 against with Baker Mayfield. And it's they're always coming shy.
Yep.
It's always a one possession game. And I do believe it's part of their defense because their defense, I don't think they're not disciplined enough, I should say. Because they only have for their defense, they got 2 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 7 pat downs, and only 3 QB hits. Like really? Like I know probably a little bit better team that's done 10 times better. For the Colts, for example, they had 6 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, 5 pat downs, and only nine QB hits, and 1 interception. And Carlton Davis also had 1 interception as well.
Right.
But I mean, Colts were slightly better when it came to defense, in my opinion, because that QB hits. That's probably one of the key thing as a rushing when you're trying to rush the quarterback, because those hits,
Oh yeah.
those determine a lot.
Oh, it absolutely does. Because T.J. Watt might get a pressure, the quarterback might get the ball off, and he not get the sack, but the quarterback still threw the ball away. So yes, you definitely look for pressures. That is a
Mhm.
bigger number than sacks, in my opinion.
Yep. And that's
But
why.
speaking
Go ahead.
of elite defenders, me and JB are going to move on to week 13. As beautiful as week 12 was, and it was a beautiful week for us Packer fans and us Steelers fans.
Yep.
However, we're going to shift over to week 13. As you can see above us here, we both had good weeks. JB was 10-6 on the week. I was 13-3. The games that were different, I had the Packers over the Lions. We both were wrong on New Orleans. I had Jacksonville winning. You had Houston winning. I had Indy winning. You had Tampa Bay winning. I had the Giants. You had New England. I did have Buffalo. You had Philly. So there's where some of the differences. So for the season now, as you can see, JB above us here is 109-71, and your boy Chandler is 117-63. So hopefully I can kind of spread the lead out, and hopefully JB doesn't catch up a little bit here, because every time I seem to get a lead, he seems to always creep his head back around. Because we want our free DoorDash, damn it.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, teams on bye this week are the Baltimore Ravens, the Buffalo Bills, the shit Chicago Bears, the Vegas Raiders, the Minnesota Vikings, and the New York Football Giants. So, Thursday night tonight, you got the Seattle Seahawks or the Dallas Cowboys. Thursday night football got us a good game.
Whew. This one is a tough one. Even though Dallas Cowboys are 8-3 and they will always play, I always say they play crappy teams and they always win. Even though they did lose to the Cardinals, and they're pretty horrible. But Seattle, they're a good team.
They are.
It's just when it comes to elite defenses, they crap the bed pretty hard. Like, for example, the 49ers, they crap the bed when it comes to elite defenses. Rams, I do believe that they still have an elite defense because of that front line that they have. The Ravens, they have a pretty good defense. And the Bengals have somewhat of a good defense. But I think this might be the first time I do believe that Dallas Cowboys are going to beat a good team. So give me the Dallas Cowboys. And plus I don't think that the Seattle's offense is not going to perform as well as what we all expect them to be because of what happened last week against the 49ers. Like I said, they had a horrible, they're not good against a good team because Geno Smith only had 180 yards and 1 interception. So, and then DK never showed up. I think it's their rookie that actually showed up. Yeah, the rookie showed up. But yeah, but he only had like 40 some yards. So if that looking bad, and Dallas Cowboys does have an elite defense, I do give them that. They have an elite defense. So give me the Dallas Cowboys.
And you see, I actually thought we'd be different on this one, and we're not. Because I agree with you. I mean, I have Dallas. Speaking of the running game and Seattle's offense, Walker, their rookie running back, is doubtful to play tonight.
Mm-hmm.
In the last 2 games, their backup, Charbonnet, I'm probably saying that wrong, has averaged under 4 yards a carry in both contests that he's played. So Seattle can't run the ball worth a crap without Walker. They
Nope.
just can't do it. And Geno Smith, who I think is a slightly above average quarterback, he's definitely turned it around from his Jets days. He still has 12 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, 2,584 yards, 88.2 a pass rating. So he's not playing horrible football. About where I thought he would be, personally. So they have some players. I'm just concerned because they got thrashed by the Niners. And then before that, they lost a heartbreaking. They blew it against the Rams. So you
Yep.
look, they're not really playing the best football. And yeah, they did win the week before that against the Commanders, but barely. And we all seen how the Commanders looked on Thanksgiving. Not good.
Nope.
So you look at Dallas. Yes, I hate the Cowboys. No, they're not going to the Super Bowl. Yes, they have beat up on bad teams. They have. That's all they've done. But
It's
they do
almost
have
like
CeeDee Lamb.
it's almost like they have the Mickey Mouse schedule
They
at the beginning of the
you're right,
season.
but at the beginning, but it's getting ready to get a little rougher. So I want to see what they do. I'm
Yep.
going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Dak Prescott's been a top 5 NFC quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. He is. 23 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 107.4 QBR. So Dak's playing well. CeeDee Lamb's playing well. Micah Parsons on defense is in contending for Defensive Player of the Year. I think it's TJ Watt personally, but he's definitely in contention. I mean, Dallas is talented across the board. It's in Dallas. I think they're gonna beat their first good team.
Yep. For once, so
I'm gonna say
hope so.
based on talent alone. Speaking of talented teams that suck, who do you got this week? The LA Chargers or the New England Patriots? This is in New England.
This is oh man. I think just by the records, I think the Chargers are probably going to come back and win against New England. Because
Okay.
honestly, they played they played Mac Jones and Bailey Zappi. They both played. And they both played horrible. Mac Jones had 2 interceptions. Zappi had 1 interception. They only seen the end zone one time, and that was with a rushing touchdown. With Stevenson only had carried for 98 yards and for 1 touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott barely showed up. 9 catches for 46 yards. But yeah, for all that, I'm saying New England sucks.
Yeah,
Even
they suck.
even if everyone's saying that Bill Belichick is a defensive coach, if he's a defensive coach, and why is he getting outscored by almost every team that they play? 24. Let's see here. Cowboys 38-3, Saints 34, Raiders 21. They beat the Bills for some. I still don't know how they beat the Bills. Dolphins 31, Commanders 20, Colts 10, and Giants 10. So, I mean, he've gotten down for a little bit, but still not getting into the end zone. So, I mean, for all of those that went through, I still think this might be Bill Belichick's last year as a coach.
Yeah, yeah. I'm starting to think maybe the same thing you are, and I still think he's the greatest coach of all time. But I think
I do
at
too.
some point things have to come to an end. Nothing lasts forever. I think this is that scenario. I have had a lot of fun this season beating up on the Chargers, and boy, do they deserve it. Because Brandon Staley should have been fired after the Green Bay game, and especially after the Baltimore game. Their playoff hopes are over. Their season's over. They need to fire Staley and give Kellen Moore, their offensive coordinator, a chance. Justin Herbert might be overrated. He might be this generation's Tony Romo, but he's definitely better than whatever New England has because they have scored 6 points and 7 points the last 2 weeks
Yep.
and lost both games. New England's abysmal. Mac Jones' QBR, do you want to know what it was?
For the Giants game,
Oh, yeah. 26.
it's horrible.
How do you play 27? I apologize. I need to be a little nicer. 27.
27.
That is abysmal. You have to try to suck that hard. Mac Jones is not the answer. Reports are Bailey Zappe's going to probably start this week. They don't have any talent on the offensive side of the ball besides Stevenson in the backfield. New England's one of the worst teams in the league. They need to just start over. Totally start over. Yeah, the Chargers are going to win this game. If they don't,
I'll be surprised. I will honestly be surprised.
They'll win the game. They're going to win the game. If they don't,
it's because their defense.
Well, no, I'm not going to go there yet, but you'll see. If they lose, you'll see what I say. Moving forward, the Detroit Lions at the New Orleans Saints.
Oh, Detroit Lions. You've been kind of putting me down a little bit.
Not me.
Well, they did come back.
They did.
They about
couldn't do it,
did.
though.
Still couldn't do it, which still kind of saddens me a little bit, but I think Jared Goff, he kind of shits the bed in the beginning of the games, especially when it came to that Packers game. I don't think the first half he didn't do as well, or he didn't contribute.
No, he did not look good.
He did not look good in the first half, but in the second half they actually got it down to single digits, which they could not get that onside kick. But with everything else, I am probably going to go with the Lions on this one. Just for the fact that I don't think Derek Carr cannot finish. And especially with an elite defense as how Detroit is, even though they did lose, they don't have their safety, CJ Gardner Johnson. He is on injured reserve. And Hooker is, oh wait, no, that's their QB. I thought that it said corner. My eyes are bugging. But yeah, I mean, with him, with that, him being out, which probably won't even make any difference. But with their CJ Gardner Johnson out as their safety, but I mean, with everything else, the blah, 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 Detroit Lions are still looking good. Defensive wise, they're looking amazing. Aid Hutchin looking like Wario over there running to the quarterback. I still think that's funny. But that defense is an elite defense. So give me the Detroit Lions.
I mean, I agree with you. I think last week was more about Green Bay developing a little bit more than how bad Detroit played. Green Bay played an outstanding first half, especially. They forced 3 turnovers. Jonathan Owens, they had a scoop and score. I mean, when you look at Rashawn Gary, he was a freak the other day.
Mm-hmm.
He got a special game ball from Matt LaFleur, forced fumbles, 3 sacks. He's also I don't think this is a hard take, but I think Rashawn Gary's probably the most underrated or most underappreciated pass rusher. He's a top pass rusher in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's as good as T.J. Watt or like Micah Parsons or anything like that, but I do think he is top 5 pass rusher wise. I really, really do. So there is that to be said. They had a lot of turnovers, 3 of them. But they only lost by 7 points because Joe Barry did everything in his power to try to make sure we lost that game.
You guys had it in the first
Our game
half.
did.
2
Well, it was easy. And
touchdowns and
Joe Barry did his best. He really did. He tried everything to have us lose that game because he can't accept it. He can't. He's a hidden spy for other teams. I don't mean that, but he just sucks. He's Anyway though. The Saints. I covered them a lot my last take in week 12 wrap up. There's underachieving, all the talent in the world. I trust Jared Goff more than Derek Carr. Derek Carr can't even seem really to make the playoffs. When he does, they lose first round. Jared Goff's at least been to a Super Bowl. He's been there before. The Lions, they're here to stay. They're going to win the division and get back on track. They just
Mhm.
are.
Yep. That's why they're number one in the division in the first place.
Yeah, it is. I think Green Bay has a wild card chance, but I'm not as biased. I'm not biased. They're Detroit's winning the division. They're the best team. Speaking of teams somehow leading their division, the Atlanta Falcons or the New York Jets.
I am trying to find a article for Aaron Rodgers. What I was told, or what I seen and read, they took him off IR. But when I'm looking at the um, injured reserves, he's still placed on IR. So I don't know if that was a fluke or if they still putting him on. I don't know. But
Well, he's still on it, but they've opened his 21-day practice window to get off of IR.
yeah, so I mean, he's still. Well, I did see that it was limited practice.
Yep.
So I still don't know how a torn Achilles and he is practicing. I don't get it. I don't know
I think
what
he's rushing back.
I really don't want to say he's rushing back. Whatever what he did, it works. It's working. But I really don't want to say he's rushing back. I mean, honestly, they don't even have a shot in playoffs.
No.
So I don't know why he wants to play. I probably want to say probably he wants to show his team that he's there for a little bit. He wants to get the feel of his offense, his the young players, and show him some. I don't know. I don't know. So Aaron Rodgers is still not going to play this week. I'll be surprised that if he's not play either not next week or the week after. But I don't see him coming back at the end of the season. I think he just still wants to practice and actually be in it or just be with the team. And I truly do think that he does miss playing football.
Oh, he does. He absolutely does.
So, and with that being said, I think that's the reason why he's probably want to rush being back because he does miss it. I mean,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, when everyone decides to retire, they miss playing football.
Hmm.
So, and why do you think everyone wants to be a sportscaster and be on the field and actually talk and actually do stuff? So, I mean, I get it. I miss it. I wanted to go ahead and put back on the path myself, but I'm not in shape anymore like we were used to. But I'm sadly going to say the Atlanta is going to win this game. They are a better team than what the New York Jets are. Um, they have a lot better of a running game than what the Jets has. Because you got Bijan Robinson, he's actually looking like one of the candidates for offensive player of the year, in my opinion. Because honestly, there's not,
Offensive rookie of the year.
yeah, offensive rookie of the year, my fault. Um, so I mean, honestly, there's not many players, in my opinion, that's actually on offensive wise is not performing other than CJ Stroud, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I agree. I mean, B. John Robinson's right up there. And speaking of the Falcons, I agree with you. Atlanta wins this game. I watched that Black Friday game. Tim Boyle looked atrocious. Why he's out there? They ought to keep Zach Wilson in there because Tim Boyle had more interceptions and touchdowns in college.
Boyle.
Boyle, and he has more interceptions. Listen, I've seen plenty of Tim Boyle. He was the Packers' backup. He is only there because he's Aaron Rodgers' buddy. Same for Alan Lazard. Same for Randall Cobb. They're the New York Packers. That's all they are. They're, they looked atrocious. They don't have a single quarterback. Garrett Wilson can't get the ball. They get down early way too quick because Tim Boyle sucks and because their quarterback is trash. They didn't come into this season with a contingency plan in case Rodgers got hurt, and now it's showing. I think he's rushing back. Because you look, younger players are out for a whole year with an Achilles injury. They are. And you're telling
Mm-hmm.
me a Hall of Fame quarterback who's already won a Super Bowl and played over a decade in the league is ready to come back at almost age 40?
Like I said, whatever voodoo he's doing, or
I don't
what
know, man.
medicine that's messing up his head.
Ashwash, whatever it is. Ashwaka, whatever the fuck it is.
Ashwaka. I'm taking that
We'll
Ashwaka.
leave that there. We'll leave that there. Move forward to your team. The Arizona Cardinals at the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Who? Man, I got a lot to say. Well, I'm going to say it right. Steelers are going to win, regardless. The Steelers are going to win. But for once, we hit over 400 yards as a team, as an offensive team. For the 3-year span that Matt Cannon was there, he never had a 400 offensive yards. And now he's gone. All automatically, we got over 400 yards. Even though we did not see, even though Kenny Pickett did not see the end zone, and I'm gonna say I did see the video of Deontay Johnson saying that wasn't him that game. For some reason, he with his lack of effort, like I seen in my short take, his lack of effort kind of ruined that possession, and that brought him back into the game. Um, so for that being said, I'm not saying sorry to him yet. He has to prove himself now. He actually has to show an effort, put in effort this game, even though it's against a crappy Arizona Cardinals game. But we did see the end zone. Najee Harris scoring that touchdown. But now I think Najee Harris is looking back him normal self. Um, he carried 8 guys on his back, carrying over 22 yards, breaking all those tackles, and still carrying people for over a 22-yard gain. That's him. That's himself. I mean, that's Najee right there. So I'm glad that he's back. I mean, he's always been back, but it's just Jalen Warren has putting up more of a better numbers than what he Jalen or what Najee's doing, but Najee's always been Najee. I mean, he's always giving that gridiron run, um, just a power drive because he's not the juke type of person. He's always the put your shoulder down and almost like a Derrick Henry version.
Yes.
But and also, I'm glad to see Pat Fryermuth back.
Woo!
Back from his injury. So I'm glad he only caught 9 catches for 120 yards, which is really good. Um, Pickens he caught a good game. His longest catch was a 43 yarder, and that was a deep ball, which we'd never seen when Matt Canada was there. But George Pickens, I think he's slowly coming back. Pickett to Pickens chemistry is about to emerge. Um, but yeah, hopefully Deontay Johnson shows me and shows the Steelers organization and the Steelers fan base with his lack of effort last game. So hopefully he shows it, and hopefully he holds on to the ball because Kenny Pickett did have a touchdown with Deontay Johnson, but he lost control. To put in air quotes because that effort was not there. He did not have. He didn't. It felt like he didn't even want to control the ball. But for that, everything being said, and defense wise, T.J. Watt. I mean, it's T.J. Watt. He's putting up amazing numbers. 2 sacks that game, 1 tackle for loss. Joey Porter is doing what Joey Porter does. He only gave Jamar Chase, which he was on probably a majority of the game, only 4 catches for 81 yards. So, I do believe for that. I mean, Joey Porter's been really good against elite receivers. Never had a touchdown on him yet. So, I mean, honestly, if we were thinking about it, Joey Porter might be in a running for a defensive rookie player of the year, in my opinion, because he never had a touchdown on him. I mean, yes, he hasn't had too many interceptions. Only had 1 interception, but he's locking down all of these receivers. I mean, all these receivers never seen the end zone when he's guarding them. So
I think you're right. I think he's definitely in contention. I'm impressed with what Pittsburgh did. It's definitely not a coincidence that their first week without Matt Canada, they get 400 yards. That was Sports Fact today. Go check that out also. I mean, but you look, they're playing Arizona, and it's
yep,
in Pittsburgh. Now, yes, Kyler Murray's returned, and he looks relatively good. 5 total touchdowns, 2 total turnovers. So Kyler Murray's making plays on a talentless team. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but I mean, said it last week. Pittsburgh would go in there and win an ugly game in Cincinnati. It was Jake Browning's the quarterback.
yep.
Again, like I said, had I think Joe Burrow played, I think Cincinnati would have won. But that wasn't reality, so I picked Pittsburgh. I'm picking Pittsburgh again. Yes, I think their offense will show improvement, but I still think they're a grinded out, ugly win defense, play it ugly. I think that's their identity. But I think that's what's going to happen again with Arizona. Give me Pittsburgh in an ugly game.
I really don't think it's not going to be ugly. I think it's just going to be more of a Pittsburgh dominance than what more of an ugly game.
Okay.
So,
Okay, we got Pittsburgh, but in different ways.
yep.
Speaking of surprising teams who win ugly football, the Indianapolis Colts at the Tennessee Titans.
Ooh. Let's see here. Let me go to my numbers here. Oh, right now they're on a 3-game winning streak, which I am very, very surprised on. A barely 3-game winning streak. Um, if my computer stops bugging out, because I didn't want to see the numbers for. Let's see, Gardner Minshew. He had 251 yards, one interception against the Buccaneers. Their run game has also always been elite ever since Jonathan Taylor. Even Jonathan Taylor's absence, they always had an elite running game. Um, but with Tennessee and um, Indy always plays hard football.
Yep. Division game. That's why.
It is a division game. Um, so I don't know. Even if Tennessee does have that losing record, 4-7, um, but honestly, I am probably gonna go with the Colts on this game.
Smart man, learning from last week's mistakes. I see.
Well, just for the fact that the Titans doesn't have that defense.
Oh,
I mean, we've seen it against all the other teams that because they barely won against the Panthers. Barely. I mean, they didn't show up against Jacksonville. They definitely didn't show up against the Buccaneers, and they really didn't show up against the Steelers. So, with that being said, I mean, Tennessee's not there where they need to be,
no,
defensive wise.
not anymore.
Offense, I think they're still trying to figure stuff out. Even though you have one of the best receivers in the game, and you still don't know how to give him the ball. And
It's
Derrick
because
Henry, is a hit or miss when it comes to these types of games, which I do believe he'll probably have a somewhat of a good game because even though against the Panthers he only did have 2 touchdowns with only 76 yards, which is really not Derrick Henry's numbers. So say,
he's
um,
out of his prime, but he's still in 1,000-yard back.
yes, I mean his body doesn't look like it that it's there. I mean his body type it's still massive. He could at least get at least or close to 100 yards a game, either 100 yards or at least close to 100. I'm probably saying in the mid 90s per game, but it's just not happening.
And I think his conditioning and his body type, because he is old for a running back, without his work ethic and his physical ability, he wouldn't be in 1,000-yard back like he still is.
Hmm.
But he is still in 1,000-yard back. I mean, one of the only bright spots because Will Levis is coming back down to earth as I predicted. I think he's going to be a massive draft bust, and he looked like it with 185 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So I think Indianapolis is kind of shocking people. I
Hmm.
had them beating Tampa Bay last week. I have them beating Tennessee this week. Mind you, if the season ended today, the Colts would be in the playoffs. That's a real thing.
Hmm.
The Colts, they're putting it together. Gardner Minshew is the best backup quarterback in the NFL. He's proving it. Yes, they're beating bad teams, but Tennessee's a bad team. So they're going to go in there and they're going to beat them. I think the Colts win this game. They
Excuse me.
have the best. Tennessee does not even have a top 15 defense. You add Jonathan Taylor to that, Zach Moss to that. Colts got some players.
Hmm.
Michael Pittman's a decent receiver. They'll be able to make enough plays. Tennessee's defense isn't what it used to be. Give me Indy.
Yeah, and with Michael Pittman, I mean he's putting up amazing numbers. He only has 76 receptions for the entire season right now. 76 catches, 784 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and he is averaging 10.3 per catch. So
At the first down each catch.
that's the first down each catch. So that is an elite numbers in my opinion. Because against Tampa Bay, he only had 107 yards. Against New England, he had 84. Um, Carolina, he only had 64, but he was 8 for 8. He was perfect when he got throwing the
Right.
ball. I mean,
And
he's looking good.
that's the thing, because he's definitely one of the more underrated receivers in the league, I
Yep.
would say. So I think the Colts just got too many weapons. Tennessee doesn't have enough.
Yep. They only have is on offense. They only has D Hop and Henry.
Henry. That's it.
So
Speaking with teams with a lot of weapons, who do you got? The Miami Dolphins? At the Washington Commanders? Are we going to take command?
well, we're definitely not taking command against the Miami Dolphins. I know that for sure. Even though they did look horrible, but Sam Howell, he he's a go getter. He he's trying his hardest to at least give his team a chance. Yes, even though he did have an interception, but he did run one. He did run one in words. Come on now, 2 for 13.
Blooper!
Two, yeah, but he only had 2 carries for 13 yards and 1 touchdown. And that one touchdown he ran into, I seen it. He was breaking tackles left and right for that one touchdown. Yes, he did throw for 300 yards. He went 28 for 44, 300 yards, 1 interception. Only got on the sack 4 times. His QBR was 56, and his rating was 74.1. So, and then Dak doing what he does best against horrible teams. He's looking amazing. Went 22 for 32, 331, and 4 touchdowns. So, and with Washington's defense, ever since they lost their pass rushers, um they're not looking good. So their defense is horrible. They don't have any good players on their defense. So,
After they traded Sweat in Chicago.
yep, and Chase Young to the 49ers, which I still believe Chase Young should be a Steeler, in my opinion. But yeah, give me the Dolphins. I think they're gonna sweep the the Commanders.
Oh, they absolutely are. This is. I'll keep this one real short and sweet. The Miami Dolphins have one of the best offenses in the NFL. They have Tua, they have Mike McDaniel, they have Tyreek Hill, they have Jalen Waddle. They have the best offense. It's number one ranked in the NFL. The Commanders have the fourth worst defense in the entire league. You add those two things together, Miami's going to score a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, like you said, Sam Howell has at least earned the opportunity to be the quarterback again next year to see what he can do. But Ron Rivera ain't going to be that coach.
Nope. I
They've
think
already fired Jack Del. They've already fired Jack Del Rio. So the Commanders have some internal issues going on. Miami's a playoff team. This isn't going to be close.
yeah, I do believe that Ron Rivera is not going to be their head coach next year.
Absolutely not.
He's not putting up the amazing numbers, or his team in general is not looking good. They're trading all their good players away. It's sad that you had almost a really good defense, and then you just trade them all away. And I'm looking at all your, yes, even though most of your guys are in injured, because most of your defense, you got Curtis Brooks in IR, David Bata in IR, Dijon Harris in IR, Drew White is out, Shikara Tony is suspended, Ify Koba is on IR, Derek Forrest in IR. There's just so many players that are on IR on your defense. And you have 1 year linebackers. You only have one person on that roster with other than being on IR. So you're basically, like I said, you're trading all your players away. You're basically the only two players that you have is Kendall Fuller and Cameron Curl. And maybe
And exactly
Benjamin St. Justine. So maybe three at best.
at best. They're rebuilding. Miami's going to slaughter them.
Yep.
Here's a game no one thought would be good, but it's going to be good. The Denver Broncos at the Houston Texans.
Ooh.
Both teams fighting for playoff spots at this point.
And shockingly, Denver Broncos are on a 5-game winning streak. They are actually coming out and winning games. Sean Payton's probably finally put his foot down against the Packer game. I know. I do believe it was probably after that Chiefs game. He probably put his foot down and said enough's enough. Um, and yeah, so he clobbered the Chiefs. Barely won against the Bills. Barely won against the Browns, and kind of clobbered the Browns. Russell Wilson looking like not his prime self, but not the rushing type, but he's looking a lot better with the passing game.
Mhm.
But then you got CJ Stroud. He's looking amazing. Even though they should have won against the Jacksonville Jaguars, but there's a few calls that was against them. But and I did watch a video of one of your guys's backups, Kurt Bernhardt.
Ben Kurt.
Yep, Kurt Benkert. He has his own podcast, and he is streaming on Twitch, and he has his own YouTube now. And he was even
Former
said,
Packers first string.
yep. And he kind of said that the Jacksonville Jaguars has a lot of pass interference calls. He's there. I think he did say put up the numbers that they are number one in the league for getting pass interference calls going towards them or against them. No, yeah, towards them. And he went in full details of going to the refs, what the ref squad that they played with or played against or was refereeing. God, I cannot talk today. Words. That ref squad was number one against pass interference calls, defensive pass interference calls. My fault. I should probably emphasize more. And the Jacksonville Jaguars have that many calls for them to increase their chances. So with that being said, I do believe that CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans kind of got their favor out of there. So with that being said, they should have won that game hands down. They really did not have that much good numbers as what Jacksonville had against the Houston Texans, but like I said, they won with a field goal. So, but I do believe, man, this is going to be a tough one. I'm gonna say Denver.
Ooh, we have our first different one of the day, and here is why. I hear everything you said. Sean Payton has the Broncos playing well. I think Russell Wilson's probably 90% of what he was in Seattle. His stats look a lot better. You look, he's taking care of the ball. They're on a 5-game winning streak, and it's not against bad teams. 4 of the 5 teams
Mm.
they've played 500 or better. And they also beat the Packers, who are looking a lot different right now themselves. So they've beaten some teams that are legit. So it's not like they're beating up on the Giants. They're not.
Like the
So I
Cowboys.
I hear you. Like the Cowboys. But Houston, they are, you look at them, this is a big game. Because Houston and Denver are both 6-5, and they're both on the bubble. The Colts are the 7th seed at also 6-5. This is a big game. I think CJ Stroud is him. I think CJ Stroud is an MVP candidate, but he won't get it because they won't give it to a rookie. They won't admit it. He's not even in the conversation, but he should be.
Mm-hmm.
CJ Stroud's an MVP candidate. He's definitely Rookie of the Year. He is him. He will win a Super Bowl with the Texans in the next 5 years. It's going to happen. I think Houston's going to make the playoffs this season. I think Houston's going to jump Indy at some point and be that 7 seed. Or I think Cleveland will probably fall out because they're on like their 8th quarterback of the year. So one of those two things will happen.
That and Cincy.
Houston is here. Well, that they're already out though, right? So
Yeah.
and then Buffalo's not making it either. So you look, Houston are on the uprise. They are here. They're young. Give them a few years to be true contenders. But Houston's making the playoffs this year. Give me Houston.
Okay.
Ooh, our favorites. You got the Carolina Panthers or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, Tom Brady Jr. gonna take a Super Bowl, gonna win every game 17-0.
I'm going to pick because Carolina, okay, they're horrible. I mean, even said it themselves. I forgot who it was that said it, but they didn't want to draft Bryce Young. They wanted to draft C.J. Stroud, and you know what happened? I forgot who it was, who said it, but they did come out and said that they wanted to draft C.J. Stroud over Bryce Young.
It's easy to say now.
Yeah. But they did say it. They did say it, though. So it looks like they don't have any faith in anybody. I mean, they never had ever since they went to the Super Bowl and lost when they fumbled the bag.
Yep, literally.
So ever since then, they jumped through I don't know how many quarterbacks since then. I don't even want to count. And that the front office and the coaching staff always had different people left and right. It's just they're just in shambles. But with that being said, I'm picking Tampa Bay just with the fact that they're a lot better. Yeah. So yeah, give me Tampa Bay.
You're right. The Panthers are the biggest laughing stock in the NFL. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL last year. But listen, you cannot draft a rookie quarterback and then fire his head coach not even his first year in. The Panthers fire coaches. They're firing people left and right. Every year they're firing a coach.
Yep.
And listen, you could take Vince Lombardi or Mike Tomlin or Bill Belichick or a great coach, put them in Carolina, and they're not even going to be able to fix it in 1 year. You have to let your coach figure it out and fix the team. You can't be like, yep, you had one of the worst teams in the league. You didn't fix it in 11 games. Well, of course you didn't fix it in 11 games. And they fired him. They're the biggest clown show in the NFL. They're not going to, I'll say this. The Panthers won't win another game this season.
Nope.
They're going to win 1 game this year. That's it. They're going to get obliterated. The Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, slightly above average. They have weapons. They're still in contention for their division somehow. Mike Evans is a top 5, top 10 receiver. Yeah, Tampa Bay wins.
Yep.
Ooh, speaking of divisions and rivalries and things of that nature, who you got? The Cleveland Browns or the LA Rams?
Ooh. Well, Browns are horrible now. I mean, they've always been horrible, but they're winning ugly games,
Hmm.
like we said. Um, they have a rookie quarterback at for starting now, and right now they're one of the biggest laughing stocks in the NFL, just for the fact that Deshaun Watson is their quarterback, and they are horrible. They're strictly horrible.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, for that being said, it's like with their quarterback not their main quarterback not there, because he only has Deshaun Watson only has 6 games played. Same thing as PJ Walker, but PJ Walker we all know he sucks.
Yes, he does.
DTR, he has 1 touchdown, 4 interceptions. But Deshaun Watson has 7 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But I mean, he's Deshaun Watson within the 6 games he played. He's barely making over 1,000 in yards. I mean, his rating is an 84. I mean, it's just looking horrible. So, with that being said, for where their quarterback room is at right now, it's it's not looking good for them for the rest of the season. I do believe that they're gonna not gonna win much of their games as much as they were hoping to, and I think this is one of the games where they're going to lose. So just go ahead and give me the Los Angeles Rams.
And I hear you. I hear everything you just said. Because the Browns will always find a way to screw it up. To the Browns. That's what they always do. It's what they've always done for 1,000 years.
Yep.
But they are 7-4. They do have the best rated defense in the National Football League. That's a real stat. Above Baltimore, above Dallas, above San Francisco. So I think that's why they're winning these games. They're a defensive football team. They haven't had Nick Chubb, and they're still winning games. They've won games without Deshaun Watson. I think I think Cleveland will still be a playoff team. Now, but that's why last segment I said I think the Colts will miss and Houston will get in. I think Cleveland will get in as a one of the last 2 wild cards as well, based on their defense. But that's why I said that, because I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost this game. Because Cooper Kupp's great. Puka's been great early this season. Matt Stafford's a Hall of Fame Super Bowl champion. Sean McVay has the Rams overachieving in a year they should have sucked.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be surprised. But I'm taking Cleveland. I have to. Number one defense in the league. They're already 7-4. They're a playoff team right now if this season ends. I can't bet against them until they give me a reason to. Give me Cleveland.
Ooh, there's 2 games.
That's right. Here's one I think will be different here. Game of the week easily. The San Francisco 49ers at Philadelphia Eagles. 2 NFC powerhouses.
Going at it.
That's right.
Both 10 or Eagles 10-1. Sloppy. I want to say they're a sloppy 10-1. San Francisco should have been around that area as well, even though they are 8-3. Um, Brock Purdy is actually coming back and actually winning the games as much than what they're losing to, but Man, this one is going to be a hard one because, like I said, both of them are powerhouses. Both have amazing offenses. Both of them have amazing defenses. Um, it's it's going to be tough. This one's the tough one because
It
if we're
is.
gonna go ahead and look back, they the Eagles barely won against the Bills.
Mhm.
They barely won against the Chiefs. They barely won against the Cowboys, and they barely won against the Commander or the Commanders. So those 4 games they barely won against, barely, and the Bills was in overtime. So, excuse me. I'm going to go with the 49ers.
Aha. Dang it.
I'm going to
We're
go
not
with
different.
I'm going with 49ers just for the fact that um the 49ers hasn't won any of not many as the sloppy games as what everyone has expected to, because they demolished the Seahawks, they demolished the Buccaneers, and they demolished the Jaguars. And what should have happened, I think that was one of the games where Brock Purdy and the 49ers offense was struggling, is when they faced the Bengals. And now since
That's when Joe Burrow was healthy too.
yeah, that's when Joe Burrow was healthy and everything, and it's just the fact that the Brock Purdy and his offense really did not have um that much of not want to say not much of a threat, but really didn't have anybody. But even though Brandon Ayuk is slowly coming up and being probably one of the main targets now, even though in that game Brock Purdy did throw for 365 yards and he went
Sir.
22 for 31. So he still looked good. He just threw 2 interceptions. So, but he threw that 1 touchdown again with Christian McCaffrey. But with that, he still was looking good. He's just the decisions that he was making was not the best. But I do believe that the 49ers going to come on top, and I think this is going to be one of the ugly games that the Philadelphia Eagles are not going to win.
I agree. Because you look, Philadelphia is playing outstanding football, but San Francisco is better than Philly. Do not let the records fool you, our friends. Because you look, yes, Jalen Hurts right now is probably the league MVP if the season ends today.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve it because the man has 29 total touchdowns. Here's your problem: he has 13 total turnovers. You turn the ball over against that San Francisco defense against Brock Purdy, who himself is having a Pro Bowl season, over 115 QBR, 19 touchdowns, 6 picks. So he's a
Mm-hmm.
Pro Bowl quarterback too. They both have weapons. They're both super talented. You turn the ball over, Philadelphia, against the Niners like you have and gotten lucky against some of these other teams. Philadelphia, it was not my Super Bowl pick. The Niners were. Before this season started, I had the Niners winning the whole thing. I said when their 3 game losing streak that they'll be just fine. And here we are. They're just fine.
Mm-hmm.
The Niners are the best team in the NFL. That is my opinion. I'm sticking to it. San Francisco wins a very close game.
Yep. And like you said,
Ooh.
it's looking to about be just that. Oh, because right
All
now
right.
with his regular season with Jalen Hurts, he has 18 touchdowns and 10 interceptions.
But he also has the 11 rush touchdowns.
But
That's
yes,
the
in which he
big
also
thing right there.
has that's the passing stats, and with the like you said with the rushing also it's has 11 as well. So he
Right.
has about 29 touchdowns total and 10 interceptions.
Correct. 13 total turnovers. He has 3 lost
13.
fumbles.
Yep.
The moment I have been waiting for. Sunday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs travel to Lambeau to visit the Packers. Who do you got this week, JB? I'm going to keep my mouth shut until you're done.
Kansas City. Yes, even though the Packers are looking good, Jordan Love came back and Ashley showed that he is the quarterback. But I don't want to say he's not looking good against elite defenses, because the Detroit Lions have a elite defense and he looked good against them. But I don't think the Packers defense can withhold Patrick Mahomes, um, Isaac Pistachio, or Travis Kelsey, and the rest of the receivers. I don't think they can't stop them. And with your guys' defensive coordinator, I think it's Joe Barry.
Yes.
I don't
Yes, it's
think
Joe Barry.
I don't think he's not capable enough to beat Patrick Mahomes' offense. He's not. He's not capable. He barely won against Jared Goff and their offense. They barely won against them. So that's what I'm saying. I think Joe Barry's gonna fumble the bag and absolutely lose this game, and I do believe that the Kansas City's defense is a little bit more better than what the Green Bay offense is going to pull out. So give me the Kansas City.
And I hear you. Everything you said, especially about Joe Barry screwing it up for us, that could very damn well be true. And I hear you. I get it. However,
You're gonna
I
stick with
picked
it.
against the Packers. I picked against the Packers 2 weeks ago against the Chargers and said there was no chance. And here we sit now, one game out of the playoffs. And I thought, if you told me 3 weeks ago that we'd be a playoff contending team, I would have looked at you and pointed and laughed on this podcast. But here we are. We are the first team on the bubble. We are the 8th seed in the NFC right now, and we are going to upset the Chiefs just like we have upset the Chargers and just like we upset the Lions, because no one thought we'd win those games. Jordan Love, 2 less touchdown passes per passing wise than Pat Mahomes. Jordan Love is him. Jordan Love is him. He has arrived. He proved it. I've said it all year. The Packers are getting a little healthier right now. Hopefully Jair Alexander plays. Rashawn Gary, one of the most underrated pass rushers in the league. Christian Watson looking good. Romeo Dobbs looking good. Jaden Reed looking good. Gotta get Aaron Jones healthy. Hopefully he can play this week. Green Bay at Lambeau. That crowd's gonna be rocking. Sunday Night Football. Give me the pack. Pack, 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 pack. I picked against 2 weeks ago, and I'm not doing it until they lose again. I will not be picking against Green Bay until they lose again. Matt LaFleur has never lost a game in December as the Packers head coach. That is to be mentioned as well.
But I do believe Kansas City, they're too much of a powerhouse. And they're an elite team, top to bottom. Defense is looking Their defense is looking good, offense is looking good. Um but yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. I do believe Kansas City is going to come in and I want to say demolish. They're not going to demolish. They're not going to dominate. I think it's going to be an ugly game. Not an ugly, but it's going to be, I want to say, back and forth, but it's probably going to be like probably a touchdown and a field goal game.
Okay. I think Green Bay wins by less than 7.
Ooh. Yeah, I think Kansas City is going to win by 10.
We will see. We will see. It bit you in the butt last week. Did not learn from his mistakes.
Nope.
Moving forward, Monday Night Football. Jacksonville ain't had a Monday night game in a while. The Cincinnati Bengals with Jake Browning, or the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have now taken control of the AFC South.
And they're going to stay in control because Jacksonville is going to win this. That Jacksonville offense is something else. Trevor Lawrence is that QB. They that offense is amazing. Even though they really didn't show up against Houston, when they, like we mentioned before, against the Houston Texans, he only threw for 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Etane only got 56 yards for 20 carries, but Calvin Ridley's actually looking, I wouldn't say not looking like himself, because he's had a drought for a while, actually for a little bit of here and there. Like I said, against the San Francisco, only had 20 yards. Pittsburgh only had 83. And New Orleans Saints, he only had 5. So he's been on a drought for a little bit, but Tennessee had 103 and 2 touchdowns. And Houston, he had 89 and 1 touchdown. So his drought's actually coming to an, I wouldn't say it's not coming to an end, because it might happen again. But their offense has weapons. Don't get me wrong.
It does.
It has Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, and Travis Etienne, which he is a receiving back, more of a rushing back. So give me that. And plus their defense is actually looking really good. Has that Foyensade, Olakun. He's actually looking really good. He has the Rashawn Jenkins, Josh Allen, the defensive player, not the offensive player. They have defensive weapons that comes out and actually and plays, like Trayvon Walker, for example. He's also a really good defensive player. So with that being said, I mean their defense is really good as well. So, and against with a not so good team anymore offensive wise, because you got, I forgot who's their quarterback now for the Bengals.
Jake Browning.
Yeah.
Jake Browning.
Yeah, he's not good. So with him being, like I said, with Joe Burrow being out, this might be a toss-up again if Joe Burrow was playing, but with that season-ending injury, or not season, but season-ending injury, which kind of sucked for him. But yeah, give me the Jacksonville Jaguars.
You're absolutely right. I would pick the Bengals if Burrow was healthy, but he's not. And you look at Trevor Lawrence, he has 15 total touchdowns and he has 8 total turnovers. So he's playing very good football. Jacksonville just beat Houston. Like I said, they've been there before. It was a close game, like I said, like you said, but Jacksonville's experience was able to do it. Trevor Lawrence is just way too good. They're not losing to Jake Browning on Monday Night Football. Jacksonville ain't had a Monday night game in a while.
Nope.
Speaking of primetime games, the Purdue Boilermakers are playing outstanding. So me and JB want to go to our subtopic here for college basketball. Our Purdue Boilermakers, for the 3rd year in a row, are the number 1 seed.
Let's go.
Woo! Number 1 in the nation. So with that, JB, do you think it's finally Purdue's year to win the entire thing? You have 1 minute. Why or why not? And go.
No, I don't think so. Because you know how many times that, like you said before, 3 years in a row, we've been number 1 in the nation. Ever since everyone's been hyping up Purdue, we've dumped down. And it's always been that way. Once we get number 1, we hype everything up. It's like, yep, this is the team. We're gonna win it all. No, it's gonna be just like last year, and the year before, and the year before that. It's not going to be the only closest team that actually was in there was when we went to the Final Four or the Elite Eight
16?
back, and when we were, I think it was Elite Eight, or was it the Final Four back
We've
in?
never been to the Final Four.
No, so it was an Elite Eight. So that team should have won it, but there was some calls, and I still remember that year. But we weren't number one in the nation. We were like top 5, top 7, I do believe. So with that being said, we're not gonna. It's gonna be just like last year and the year before. We're just gonna go straight down back to the bottom and lose game one against a team that's we'd never even heard of.
You're right. Because I'm pretty much going to say the exact same thing you just said. Because I catch myself here already, starting to believe again. I'm starting to believe again. Because look, I mean, the stats are right here. In 3 days, we played 3 games in 3 days. We played Gonzaga, Tennessee, and Marquette. That's 3 top 11 teams in 3 days, and we beat them all.
Mm-hmm.
We beat them all. And then the other night, we just beat Texas Southern as well. We have demolished them. So we're undefeated. We're 7-0. We have Edey, who's probably the nation's best player. Braden Smith at guard is probably the best guard in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. So there's zero reason we should not make it and win the whole thing. Here's the issue. Matt Painter should have been fired last year. We've lost to double-ranked teams in the tournament the last 3 seasons, and I am tired of it.
Against teams that we've never even heard of.
Yes. The last 3 seasons, 2 of the last 3 years, were first-round exits. If we don't win the whole thing this year, Matt Painter needs to go. He needed to go last year. I'm on record as saying that. He chokes. He is the Dallas Cowboys of college basketball, and I am tired of being the Cowboys of basketball. That's all I have. But, like, subscribe, hit the bell, like us on Facebook, check out the Sports Fact of the Day, JB.
Boom. Just like what you said, like, comment, subscribe. Tell us what you think of who is going to win against the Sunday night. Actually, who's going to win against the 49ers and the Philadelphia Eagles, and why? Leave the comments down below. We will try our hardest to get answered the responses, because out of our work schedules, it's kind of hard for us to go through the comments when we can. So
we do our best.
We do our best, but if you guys show recognition, it's actually show us to your friends and family, and who knows, we might not be at our jobs anymore. We might do this full time. So
that would be an amazing.
Wouldn't that be nice? But with that being said, like I said, comment, subscribe, like us on Facebook. Who knows? We might get some more social media out there more. But for right now, it's just YouTube. It's just YouTube and Facebook right now. So like us around there and hear some news later on.
Until next week, go Pat, go. Let's go Heat, and boiler up. I hope I'm wrong. Boiler up.
And see you next time. Let's go Steelers, baby. Let's go.